This file was not meant to remain open, and yet it found you. You are now entering a recorded field transmission from the Department of Lost Places. This is archive entry 043. The subject of this record is known as the Observatory of Lost Stars. Among all celestial locations presently maintained within department archives, few inspire such thoughtful silence among those who visit. Not wonder, though wonder is common, not amazement, though amazement is frequently reported. Silence, the kind that follows realization, a realization too large to absorb immediately. The observatory concerns itself with stars, but not in the way most observatories do. It contains no charts, no measurements, no lectures, no attempts to explain the heavens. Instead, it studies something far more elusive, the journey of light, and the curious relationship between distance and meaning. The earliest verified account originates from a navigator who spent many years crossing open oceans by starlight. One night, during a calm passage beneath unusually clear skies, he recorded an experience that would later become one of the department's most discussed reports. He described seeing a distant tower standing where no island should have existed. The tower appeared illuminated by countless stars. Unable to explain the sight, he altered course. By dawn, both the tower and the island had vanished, yet the memory remained vivid for the rest of his life. Decades later, independent reports emerged from travelers, astronomers, dreamers, sailors, and mountain climbers. Different paths, different circumstances, the same observatory. The department eventually recognized the pattern, a place devoted not to the stars themselves, but to what remains after their light begins its journey. Visitors most commonly encounter the observatory during periods of reflection upon influence, not achievement, not success, but influence. The lingering effects of people, places, moments and experiences, the traces left behind long after something appears finished. Arrival routes vary considerably. A mountain path beneath moonlight, a staircase ascending through clouds, a lonely shoreline beneath unfamiliar constellations, a railway platform existing only in dreams. Whatever route is taken eventually leads upward. The observatory always occupies elevated ground. The department suspects this is intentional. Perspective matters here. The first sight of the structure is often unforgettable. A circular tower constructed from pale stone. Great domes rise above its upper levels. Large windows glow with soft golden light. Bridges connect smaller observation halls perched along nearby cliffs. Above everything stretches a sky unlike any recorded elsewhere within the archives. Stars fill every corner of darkness, thousands upon thousands. The sky appears less like a ceiling and more like an ocean. Upon entering, visitors discover a remarkable absence. The observatory contains very few instruments, no rows of telescopes, no complicated machinery, no charts covering the walls. Instead, the building consists of galleries, reading rooms, observation balconies, quiet chambers dedicated to contemplation. The observatory appears interested in looking rather than measuring. One of the first locations encountered is known as the Hall of Distant Light. The chamber contains hundreds of suspended lanterns. Each emits a gentle glow. At first glance, the arrangement appears random. Closer observation reveals a subtle pattern. Some lanterns shine brightly, others faintly. Some appear close, others impossibly distant. Visitors eventually learn that each lantern represents a star whose light continues travelling. Not a specific star, the idea of one. The hall encourages a simple realization. Seeing is not the same thing as immediacy. Many things reach us long after they begin their journey. Further within lies a gallery known as the Archive of Lasting Light. Department researchers consider this one of the most significant locations within the observatory. The gallery contains countless glass panels illuminated from within. Each panel reveals a scene: a teacher encouraging a student, a parent reading a story, a friend offering support, a traveller sharing wisdom, an artist creating something meaningful. None of the moments appear extraordinary, yet the panels continue glowing. Visitors quickly understand why. The gallery is not recording events, it is recording consequences. The light remains because the influence remains. One surveyor later described the experience in a brief report. Nothing there seemed interested in fame, only continuation. The department continues to regard this observation as highly representative of the archive. Near the centre of the observatory stands a vast circular chamber known as the Chamber of Extinguished Stars. The name often alarms visitors. The chamber itself does not. Thousands of tiny lights drift above the room. Each shines softly against the darkness. Visitors are informed that every light represents something that appears absent. A finished chapter, a departed mentor, a childhood home, a friendship transformed by time, a season now past. The lights remain visible despite their apparent distance. The chamber presents a profound idea. An ending and an absence are not always the same thing. The department has found this distinction increasingly relevant across numerous archives. Further upward lies one of the observatory's most unusual locations, the balcony of arriving light. The structure extends beyond the tower itself. Visitors emerge into open night air. Stars stretch endlessly overhead. The world below disappears into darkness. Along the railing are countless empty glass vessels, or so they appear. When examined closely, each contains a faint glow, a light still arriving. The balcony concerns itself with delayed understanding. Ideas that make sense years later. Lessons appreciated only with distance. Experiences whose value becomes visible long after they occur. The vessels remain partially illuminated because the journey remains unfinished. Meaning continues travelling. One recurring figure appears throughout reports concerning the observatory. Department records refer to them simply as the astronomer. Descriptions vary considerably, as they often do. Sometimes encountered beside a telescope, sometimes standing on a balcony, sometimes seated quietly beneath the stars. Visitors frequently ask a similar question: Why are these called lost stars? The astronomer invariably studies the sky before answering, because people often mistake distance for disappearance. The response is usually followed by silence. Not awkward silence, thoughtful silence. The observatory appears to value such moments. At the highest accessible level stands a small observation room unlike any other within the archive. The chamber contains a single telescope. No labels, no instructions. Visitors naturally look through it. What they see varies considerably, yet certain themes recur. A meaningful conversation remembered decades later, a kindness whose effects continued unexpectedly, a lesson passed between generations, a place no longer visited but still influential. The telescope never reveals the past itself, only its continuing light. The department regards this distinction as fundamental. The observatory does not preserve memory, it preserves influence. As dawn approaches, the stars begin fading, the tower grows quieter, the observation hall's empty, the galleries dim. Visitors eventually begin their return journey. The mountain path, the staircase, the shoreline, the dream, whatever route first brought them there. Many leave carrying a new understanding. Not everything distant is gone. Not everything finished has ended. Some things continue travelling. Some light takes time to arrive. The department classifies the Observatory of Lost Stars as Type, Celestial Reflection Observatory, Influence Preservation Site, Astronomical Continuity Archive, Access Level, Occasional, most commonly encountered during periods of remembrance, gratitude, reflection, or personal perspective. Final note from the archivist. The night sky offers a remarkable lesson. Many stars visible above us occupy distances almost impossible to imagine. Their light has travelled for years, sometimes centuries, sometimes longer. The observatory asks us to consider whether human lives operate similarly. Perhaps kindness continues travelling. Perhaps wisdom continues travelling. Perhaps love, friendship, creativity, and understanding continue travelling too. Not unchanged, not frozen, but moving outward, crossing distances we may never witness, arriving in places we will never see, like starlight, quietly, patiently, still illuminating the darkness long after beginning its journey. This concludes archive entry 043. The record is sealed. The observatory remains illuminated. The stars continue their passage. The light continues arriving. End transmission.